So there are those certain things that also need to be divulged to ethics committees so that the safety of the researcher is not compromised in any way. And then this brings us to 2.2, which is the ethics clearance, right? So I'm sure in most of your institutions, when your student is almost done with that proposal, there is a form that you complete. And I mean, I don't want to even take you through this because it's stuff that you all are doing. Most of you all, has there anyone here not supervised a student and taken a student to ethics? All of you have. Okay. So I think it's just about making sure that when you are helping your student with that form, that you all are, going through each parameter in that form, looking back to your proposal to see that everything is sort of complying in terms of what the ethics forms are asking for. One of the things that I actually, I think when we spoke about in the assessment part of it, that module, we spoke about, when it comes to the student and the writing up, how do they know what examiners want? And I think part of you were in that discussion where we said, well, maybe, we should share with the student what we ask the examiners for. You know, what does our rubric actually entail? What are we asking the examiner to examine? And if students have an understanding of that, they know what they're writing. They know they're writing for that. The audience is actually the examiner. The examiner is the audience that they're writing for. So they have an idea in terms of, what they need to have sort of ticked off in their submission to make sure or enable, when the examiner is looking at it, that they've covered everything that the examiner will be looking for. So I'm thinking similarly when it comes to ethics as well. We need to already at the outset when we, having this, maybe your session with your student, maybe part of your guide that you're creating, you should have that ethics form in there to say, this is not an example, this is what your ethics form looks like. So start looking at it, start already brainstorming some of the questions you may have around it. So when you're having that session with your student where you're talking about, remember the policies of the university, legislation, Constitution of South Africa, POPIA, all those PIA, Access to Information, right? Promotion of Access to Information Act, that you are also then you are talking to the student about something that they've already read. They'll already start asking you questions about the ethics form. So what do they mean by this? What is meant by that? And you can guide your student in terms of saying, well, if we look at your research and this is the topic that you want, this is the design that you're doing, this is where these things filter in. So when you are starting to write up this proposal, have this as your guideline as well, so that you are structuring it in a way that what the ethics committee wants is what you will have to fulfill and show them that what questions you've asked me, this is how I'm going to fulfill it. So maybe that will be something nice to also put into your guide for your student is the actual ethics form. So they have an idea. So something that you can do is when you've created this, as soon as the year started and you've got maybe a new cohort of students that are coming in, get your list of your students from your faculty officer and send your guide through to them and say, here's some homework that you need to do. Go through the guide. Here's the policies that we have. And within the guide, you will find also the ethics form, peruse that. Think of questions that you want to ask. So when you have the first session, you're basically dealing with all of that with your student. Okay, just a suggestion from my side. But I think when you're going through this, it helps your student as well to get down to the writing, the reviewing, and they can keep on looking at that form and doing whatever editing they need to do on their document as well to bring it up to the speed of, what exactly would the ethics committee want. Obviously, when you're writing your proposal as well, there's specifics as well that they need to have in their proposal. So there's many documents that are sort of guiding them in terms of for the various aspects of what's being looked at in terms of passing your proposal and also passing the ethics. What will you need to have? Okay, and that's where your ethics committee comes into play. So that's something that you can do. I'm just looking anything else that's here that I want to mention to you guys. Just what's included in an application for ethics. I think you'll all know that a well-developed proposal provides justification of the study and the research design, a completed application for the ethics, like we spoke about now, approved by the HOD, details of funding. That's where, I mean, if you are maybe doing or your student is embarking on something where there's funding that's coming in. So details of that have to be declared or shared, because there should not be any conflict of interest, right? Then an information sheet about the research project, just a brief introduction of the researcher, the written language that the research participants can understand, then the data collection instruments. Yes?
Oh, you are not sharing the screen unless it's me who's not seeing your screen.
Yeah, I don't think these are not on the screen, but I'll share the other screen in any event for you. Let me see what comes after that. I think we did this one. Okay, we did early detection. See where I am. Ethical clearances. Okay, we spoke about this here, right? What it needs to have. Okay, this is where I am. Sorry about that. Here you go. Let me just put it in this mode. Okay, yeah. So in order to get your ethical clearance, that's what I was talking about, right? The well-developed proposal. So where it's got your conceptual, methodological, procedural, and your ethical aspects. Then about your data collection instruments, you need to talk about that, your interviews, your schedules, your questionnaires. So you need, your student, as you know, will actually need to put that in. They can't just say, well, I'm going to use a semi-structured interview schedule of questions, and that they need to put the questions there, the actual schedule that they're going to be using, so that the ethics committee can also review those questions. I think that's a nice way of them to also see, language that's used, tone that's used, something that's not coming off as coercive, so that, the schedule of the questions that are going to be asked, it's not going to cause any sort of moral or ethical dilemma for the researcher when the questions are being asked to the participants, right? And then I put the staff and students. So obviously your students have to adhere and apply for ethics, but even us as researchers, if we are embarking on research, we also need to ensure that we apply for ethics. Then there's formal application forms per faculty, and each faculty may have a slightly different form, because remember the sciences are slightly different when it comes to trials, experiments that they are running. So their forms may be slightly different to what as compared to what somebody in education may be using. Like I spoke to you about my student and the form that we completed, and then we had to complete also a separate form to DBE as well that had to be completed. So each faculty will have a ethics form in line with the type of ethics, the code of ethics in that specific area of study. So I'll say whether it's in science, whether it's in engineering, whether it's in education. So whichever faculty you belong to, it will basically have something that's linked to that, right? And then when I spoke about the remit of the ethics committee, the screening, the reviewing, most often they do it by round robin, where they're looking at it, but where they see that there are potentials for, gaps or issues, they may request that they want to have a meeting with the supervisor and the researcher, right? Just to attend that so that you can speak to them and then talk about, your research, and basically, if there's a problem with a specific part of it, you can clarify better. And maybe you did not think about something, the ethics committee, they are in a position where they can make recommendations to you, and they can say to you, well, maybe consider doing this. And what happens in that instance is your student will have to go back, put in whatever they need to put in, and then it gets resent to the ethics committee, just so that it's noted. And the student then will have to follow that. Okay. So we spoke about the protocol and making sure that there's no deviation from that. And then I think this is what I was touching on, application for ethical clearance, your proposal, the ethics form, disclose if there's funding sources, so there's no conflict of interest, an information sheet about the researcher, also about the language that you're going to be using, that your participants, because remember, you can't be an English-speaking researcher going into a space where nobody speaks English. So then you need to say, well, I will have a translator. I think then you need to go further to say, yes, you can't just bring somebody that does not understand the language fully. You need to make sure that the person probably has maybe certification in that language, for you to say to the ethics committee, well, whatever the participants will be saying, in response to my questions, it will be verbatim that, the response that I'm getting, because the person that's translating has certification in that language, and they will be able to, translate so that the meaning is not lost, or what has been said verbatim has not been lost. And then you also need to, obviously, your student will have to show data collection instruments. We spoke about that. Informed consent, normally your student will or has to put in the document that they will be sending to their participants, the informed consent form, where it's talking about the benefits, risks, anonymity, their participation is voluntary, the confidentiality part of it. And, part of what I did with mine as well, because I dealt with a specific set of women in the engineering sphere, and the kind of questions that I asked, I actually had also for them, I had a psychologist that was on standby. Should any of them need to go and speak to somebody, if it had brought up memories that they didn't want to, put them in a space that they didn't want to be in. So you can just obviously advise your student also on those kind of things. What could go wrong? If you have a weak application, which I'm sure from all the people in this room here, I doubt that there'll be a weak application, because you'll are very well informed. And over and above just this course, I think you'll have supervised students. I think you'll already have an idea of, when an application is not going to get through ethics. And we work tirelessly to make sure that when we do this, application, we cover, all sort of entrance and exit points. We do everything to make sure that our student does get approved and can start working, with their data collection. If it's an incomplete form, that can also pose a problem. But as I said, it comes back to you working with your student. So I know some supervisors just say to the student, fill this ethics form. And the student is busy, baffling and confused and doesn't know what to fill in, and puts all wrong things in, right? So when you are filling this, it would be a good idea, if you don't want to, sit with your student and do it, but if you want the student to complete it, you need to have ideally you also sign it off. But it's not just about putting your signature on the document. It's about actually reading through the document and making sure that, what ethics is asking for, that, the student is fully complying with it. And then if these things do happen, remember it has negative impact on your completion rates in your university. That's always not a nice thing, especially when it comes to graduate output. And then you kind of, your dean is sitting on you as to why didn't your student graduate, and if it's stuff that way, it didn't go through ethics approval, not really looked at nicely, you could have done better. You could have, pushed the student to make sure that everything was in line. So as supervisors, a lot of heat on us to make sure that we try and get our students through that, ethics stage. And it can be, quite an easy thing to get through, as long as you are working with your student, you having a look at, what the student has put in there, and, maybe discussing with the student, amending things, on the form, and then obviously aligning that as well in your proposal, just to make sure you basically covered. Then on the other spectrum, what could also go wrong, and we hope this does not go wrong, but sometimes it does go wrong, and this is not on the part of the, the supervisor, or certainly not on part of the student, but sometimes when it's a field that, members of that committee are not fully aware of, that not having that knowledge can sometimes result in a not so positive, outcome for the student. I remember, I'm going to talk about my PhD. When I did my first proposal, the defense of my proposal, I was in a room. Andre, please don't take offense. I was in a room full of white men. And I was talking about Indian women, and I was talking about, all the cultural aspects, and about, things that they could not even really understand what I was talking about. They could understand, yes, the conceptual framework that I've come up with and what I wanted to do, but they couldn't really understand, and they couldn't sort of, there wasn't a sort of a, the way it could click. And then we had to have a second defense, where they had to make sure that the panel was representative of, the area that I was studying, because I was looking at biculturalism. Nobody sitting on that panel understood what that was. So I had to actually do two defenses. The second one, thankfully, I had even my external was somebody that was basically doing the same or the very similar kind of area of research like myself. And that defense went off very smoothly, because the kind of questions that they could ask were things that actually helped me then to go back and, make those minor amendments to my proposal. And then there are various other issues that could be surrounding research ethics committee. but that's something I think Prof. Stein, when he speaks on Monday, he will cover a lot of that when he's going to speak to supervisors. And I think you guys as supervisors, when you get that video link, please watch it, because then we're basically getting it from the horse's mouth. So you'll have an idea, because he's chairing the Senate Research Ethics Committee. So he has, I think, a lot of experience in terms of what each faculty experiences, each faculty chair experiences, and each faculty committee experiences. So you at least have, a very nice lens of inspection when it comes to, what the ethics committee does and what are some of the problems that they themselves have. Okay, and that brings us to the end of Unit 1 and 2. And it's going to bring us to the end of today's session. I've just put up on this slide the assessments for Unit 1 and 2. So now, Devashi, you're not going to like me, but I've had a WhatsApp chat while we were in that break. I had a WhatsApp chat with Prof. Nita, and I've taken pictures of what I've put down for you guys, and her response to me was she's happy with it. This is at an honors level. So she said to me that you guys can go ahead with it. What I did say to her is that some of the activities that were in the learner guide, I am doing that as class activities so that you don't need to include that anyway. So we've worked through those activities already, right? I'm sorry. So, but I think for the assessment, the main assessment, I think somebody, was it Dr. Ndlovu said about the PowerPoint slides, so we can cut that off, not a problem. You don't need to do the PowerPoint slides. You will need to create your ethics guide for your student, right? And I'm leaving it to you in terms of how you want to get graphics done, make it something that's very snazzy and something that your student will want to open and read. Because if you're going to give them a document that's a PDF, they're not going to open it and read it. They want to read stuff that's exciting, whether it's using, nice sort of, illustrations, however you want to do it. I'm saying it's left to you how you want to do it. Okay, just put something together. But remember, I'm reading content and I will be giving you marks for look and feel. And then we will have the session where it will be probably a 5-minute thing for each of you, where you're just going to showcase what you've done. Okay, you're going to showcase to your colleagues what you've done, and you're just going to speak about it and, some of the things that you would like to highlight. And, also maybe talk about how would you set, when we spoke about that, setting up the first meeting with your students, what are some of the things that you're going to be doing, right? Remember, we're taking this guide as though it's how you have the code of ethics, and we spoke about implementation of policy and things like that. So how will you take this across to make sure that this starts becoming implemented? Your students are doing it, your students are reading it, and that there is active engagement through every stage of the research. But for now, what's our time? Because we were supposed to be working right up until 4. It's now 12:20. We into lunchtime. So you guys, we're done for today. If you are agreeable, I know we've got a session on Monday, but can I ask, can we do Unit 3 and 4 on the Tuesday session from 5 to 7? We definitely will finish it within that 2 hours. If y'all are all agreeable to that, I just want to stop sharing. I started the slides, but I think we'll start with that next week. If you're happy with that on Tuesday, Monday, you can still use that 2 hours. Please just keep that aside and use that for this module. You can work on either one of your assignments or your whatever you are working on. I'm giving you the time because I don't want to stretch the content. There's not too much of content. I'd rather we can work through the units. But as I said, I will still be available. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my mobile number on the chat, right? If you need to meet with me, because after Tuesday's session, if you need to utilize the time where you need to meet with me in that session, I want you to just WhatsApp me to let me know, okay? Then I know I will go and log on, and we can decide whether you want to meet me at 5, whether you want to meet me at 5:30, or whether it's 6 o'clock. I don't know whether you want to go home, maybe take some supper, have some supper first, and then maybe you want just a quick half an hour with me. I am available during those times, right? As I said, I'll give you my mobile number so you will have immediate access to me just to let me know we have a session that's scheduled for today. I know that's going to be used for my assessment, but I'd really like to, chat with you for about maybe half an hour, whatever it is. I am there to assist you. Okay. I will block that time out for you. So we all good for Tuesday, 5 to 7, unit 3 and 4. Just some thumbs up. So I'm happy with that. I just want to see that everybody's good with that. And then Zama, I'll come to you. Okay, good. I'm seeing a good few thumbs up here. Zama, go for it. It's Zamu Kushle.
Yes,
Zamu Kushle. Yes.
I just have a small request.
Yes.
With your permission, of course, as our lecturer and with Chandra, I would like to have a short meeting with you after the session here on Microsoft Teams, if you can allow me.
That's not a problem. Okay, and I see document numbers and email, please. Right.
Okay.
Jackie,
Right,
document numbers. Okay, cool. I am teaching on Tuesdays. Okay, that's from 5 to 6. But we'll join the lecture before and after. And please could I ask that? Yes, I'm recording all the sessions. If you can't make the session, it is not a train smash. Remember, that's the reason even this session is recorded. So you can always go back to the session if you need to just refresh yourself on something that we spoke about. But definitely Tuesday session, I will be recording as well. So if you can't make it, Karen, no problem. You can go back to the session. It's units 3 and 4. I am going to now put on, is Lorenzo on the meeting? Lorenzo, are you still with us? No, he's not with us. Okay, I don't have your email addresses. What I'll do is, let me see, guys, is it going to be, because I want you to have the content now. Okay, I'm going to honestly ask you guys, is anybody going to work on your assessments now? Let's be truthful. Yes or no? Because if you are, I want you to send me an email now, and I'm going to send you the document, or I'm going to get Dr. Lorenzo to email it out to you guys on Monday. If you need it now, you got my email address, just drop me an email, right? I'll send it directly through to you. Okay, I see Tobogo says Monday. Okay, I'll leave it to whoever needs it. Email me. I'll check my emails now and I'll send it through to you, because some of you may want to start working through your assessments already, right? And you will definitely need to have this learner guide with you, because some of the references that I'm talking about are there, right? And then obviously just read up for unit 3 and 4 as well, so that when we meet on Tuesday, I don't think we will probably just use that 2 hours and we'll cover everything. Okay.
Doc,
and then it was,
hello?
Yes. Who's talking to me? Toboko, yes.
It's Teboko, yes. Do you mind dropping the learner guide into the chat for us? Then we can just download it from there.
Okay, I just need to go and find it. Just trying to find the stuff from, it'll be David's. Let me see if I've got it.
Then we can just download it from our side.
Okay, let me
Doc, are we meeting on Monday or Tuesday? Because I can see a lot of people saying Monday is okay with me.
No, Monday. So they were talking about putting the learner guide on for Monday, but we're meeting on Tuesday, 5 to 7.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, let me just put these 3 things here. Let me just copy this. I'm going to put this onto the chat now, and I want you all to tell me that you'll have it, because then I know that you'll have it. I'm sorry about that. I just assumed that Lorenzo would have sent this to you guys. Come on, why aren't you? Okay, it's fine if you want to log off. I think you'll still be able to access the chat after that. I'm going to just save them onto my desktop and then put them into the chat. It is the code of ethics, and it's going to also be the learner guide. Okay, and then let me see if I need to do anything else. And then I'm holding on for you, Zamokushle. You want to speak to myself and Chandra, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So guys, I will see the rest of you then on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Okay, have a lovely Saturday, and I'm sorry about it, Devashri. I know you're not liking me right now, but I did check.
No, it's cool.
I did check with Prof. Nita just to make sure I took screenshots of it, so she's happy with what I'm giving you guys.
No.
So yeah,
Can you
but
also
I'm
send
giving
me
you. But I'm giving you
I think
6
you
sessions,
also,
so you'll have enough time.
Yeah. No, we'll do the work. We'll do the work. I
Okay,
think you
great.
said you're going to drop your
Doctor.
number. Have you?
Yes, I'm going to put my
your
number
number
as
in the
well
chat?
on.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm going to put it
perfect.
on now, so you'll have it. Okay, that's my
you,
number
Doc.
that's coming through. Okay, have a good
Okay, thank
Saturday,
you.
a good weekend. Till
Thank
I see you guys on
Bye.
Tuesday. Take care.
Doctor,
Bye.
are you sending the assignments?
Bye-bye.
Sorry?
Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Ndlovu?
Yes, I'm saying, what about the activities? Are you also sending them the activities that we are to work on?
Yes, I'm gonna
Assignment.
I'm gonna take a screenshot of that for the assessments, and I'm gonna put it in this chat as well so you can see it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem. We'll do that now.
Thank you.
Okay, ciao, bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye, Devashri. Thank you.
Bye. Ciao, ciao.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Okay, Chandra, we're just gonna wait on for Zamo.
Okay, I think we should stop recording too.